There is a reason demons react differently to Christians who leave their shoes at the door. And it has nothing to do with superstition, culture, or cleanliness. Before I surrendered my life to Jesus Christ, I was a practicing warlock. I wasn't guessing about the spiritual realm. I was trained in it. I understood how demons assess people, how territory is marked, and how seemingly ordinary habits can either invite access or shut it down completely. And one habit stood out more than most: removing shoes at the door. In occult training, we were taught to pay attention to thresholds, places where authority is either established or ignored. Doorways mattered. Entry points mattered. What a person carried into their home mattered. Shoes weren't just physical objects to us. They represented where someone had walked, what they had agreed with, and what spiritual residue they brought with them. We knew something most people didn't. Demons respect order and boundaries, even when humans don't. So, when we encountered Christians who removed their shoes intentionally, especially those who prayed over their homes or treated their living space as consecrated ground, we marked them as resistant, not because shoes were magical, but because the act revealed something deeper: awareness, alignment, authority. Those believers weren't casual about their space. They understood, even if they couldn't fully explain it, that their home was not neutral territory, and demons avoid homes where authority is practiced consistently, even through simple, quiet actions. I remember assignments being delayed or redirected because access wasn't clean, not blocked by force, but by discipline, by intention, by people who knew how to guard thresholds. When I came to Christ, I finally understood why that small act carried so much weight. It wasn't about tradition, it was about ownership, about declaring without words that what happens outside does not automatically enter inside. And that's why demons fear Christians who treat their homes as holy ground. Because once authority is established at the door, it doesn't need to be fought room by room. By the end of this message, you'll understand why something so simple disrupts demonic access, and how reclaiming authority at your threshold changes everything inside. In the occult, thresholds were never treated as ordinary spaces. Doorways, gates, entrances, these were considered decision points, places where permission is either granted or denied. Spirits don't move randomly. They move where access is clear. A threshold represents transition: outside to inside, public to private, chaos to order. And demons pay close attention to how that transition is handled. Shoes mattered because they carried agreement. where you walked, what environments you submitted to, what atmospheres you tolerated. In occult practice, we believed spiritual residue followed people home, not as dirt, but as alignment. Whatever you normalized outside had a tendency to look for continuation inside. That's why leaving shoes at the door disrupted assignments. It broke continuity. It communicated separation. It said, what happened out there does not belong in here. Demons are legalists. They look for consistency. If someone lives carelessly, access is easy. But when someone practices intentional boundaries, especially at entry points, access becomes complicated. Not impossible, but contested. And demons avoid contested ground. Christians who honored thresholds weren't louder. They weren't aggressive. They were deliberate. They prayed over doorways. They spoke peace into their homes. They treated entry as an act of stewardship, not habit. That stewardship created friction. In occult training, friction was a warning sign. It meant resistance would follow. It meant authority was present, even if subtle, and assignments thrive on ease, not effort. This is why demons fear discipline more than emotion. Leaving shoes at the door isn't powerful because of the shoes. It's powerful because it reflects a mindset that understands ownership. Ownership says, this space answers to Christ. And once ownership is clear, influence is limited. When I came to Christ, I realized how many battles could have been avoided simply by guarding entrances, not fighting demons, denying them entry. Because authority doesn't always roar. Sometimes it stands quietly at the door and says, you're not welcome here. In the next chapter, I'll explain what actually happens when a Christian establishes authority at their threshold and why demons respond immediately even when no words are spoken. When a Christian guards the door, demons don't just see a habit, they see structure. In the spiritual realm, structure communicates authority faster than words ever could. It shows consistency, awareness, ownership, and demons immediately adjust their behavior around homes where structure is present. In occult training, we were taught to observe patterns before attempting access. Who comes in and out? What is carried inside? Whether boundaries are treated as symbolic or enforced. A guarded door signaled that nothing entered that home by accident. When shoes were removed intentionally, it told us something important. This person understands separation. Separation is dangerous to demons. It breaks alignment with the outside world and establishes a new jurisdiction inside the home. Whatever was tolerated outside, stress, anger, lust, fear, oppression, was not automatically allowed past the threshold. That disrupted continuity, and continuity is how influence spreads. Demons thrive on carryover, carryover of emotion, carryover of atmosphere, carryover of agreement. A guarded door interrupts that flow. Christians who practiced this weren't obsessed with demons. They were focused on stewardship. Their homes felt different, quieter, ordered. And order is hostile to chaos-based spirits. In assignments, we avoided those homes whenever possible. Not because demons were powerless, but because access required effort, and effort attracts exposure. Authority doesn't need to confront darkness directly when boundaries are already enforced. What most believers don't realize is that demons interpret guarded space as occupied territory, not empty, not neutral, occupied, occupied by authority. And authority doesn't need to shout. Even when no prayer was spoken, the consistency spoke for them. Every time the door opened and the boundary was honored, it reinforced ownership. It reminded the spiritual realm who governed that space. When I came to Christ, this understanding changed how I lived. I stopped treating my home as a resting place and started treating it as entrusted ground. Every entry mattered. Every threshold was intentional, and the atmosphere shifted. Pressure reduced. Sleep improved. Peace increased. Not because demons were hunted, but because access was denied. In the next chapter, I'm going to explain why demons fear Christians who practice quiet authority more than those who only respond during attacks, and how consistency at the door protects every room beyond it.